Minion and the Nightmare of the Deadly Toy Factory. Chapter 1. Stepping into the Abyss. On a dark night, thick fog enveloped the abandoned houses. Far in the distance, a dilapidated toy factory, Playtime Company stood ominously. Once a place that produced toys for millions of children. Now it was surrounded by terrifying rumors. People said that everyone who stepped inside would never return, or if they did, they would never be the same. Minion, the small, clumsy creature known for his mischievousness, chose this fateful night for the daring heist. Dressed in a makeshift Spider-Man costume, with a web spun from the ropes, Minion slipped through a narrow gap in a Playtime Company rusted gate. But instead of the fun adventure he expected, Minion felt an eerie chill from the moment he entered the metal gates. Inside the factory, everything was dark. Narrow, long hallways barely illuminated by the few broken lights. Our machines lay dormant, covered in thick dust, as if time had stopped. Toys that once brought joy to children were scattered across the floor, forgotten, deformed, and twisted. Minion shivered, but curiosity outweighed fear. He ventured deeper, his step echoing through the vast, haunting space of the factory. At the end of the hallway, he saw a large iron door tightly locked, with a bright red "Do Not Enter" sign. But for Minion, warnings meant nothing. He decided to open it. Chapter 2. The Horrifying Transformation. Inside the secret room, Minion couldn't believe his eyes. In front of him was a gigantic machine full of wires and buttons. It looked like it had been abandoned for years. Yet it still radiated a chilling energy. Scattered around the machine were broken toy figures, dolls with twisted faces and empty, soulless eyes. With a natural curiosity, Minion couldn't resist approaching the machine. He muttered something and began fiddling with the buttons. A loud rumbling noise filled the room, and suddenly a blinding flash of light engulfed everything. He didn't have time to escape before a giant mechanical arm reached out from the machine and grabbed him. In the brief moment, Minion felt his body being pulled into the machine, and everything around him became blurry. Then, with a loud explosion, he was thrown out. Then Minion stood up. He was no longer the same. His right arm had transformed into the gigantic mechanical limb, encased in sharp metal pieces. It emitted sparks, and a feeling of the overwhelming power surged through Minion's small body. But along with his newfound power, Minion began to feel a change in his mind. A strange, dark sensation crept over him, overshadowing his usual playful and goofy nature. The dark corridors of Playtime Company were no longer a place of exploration. Now, Minion was a predator, and the mechanical monstrosity within his arm had awakened frost that has been sleeping in the factory. Chapter 3. Hakii Awakes. Not long after Minion began wreaking havoc in the factory with his massive mechanical arm, the chaos awakened a fearsome entity. From deep within the shadows of Playtime Company, Hakii, a creature once loved as a giant flush toy, had awoken. But Hakii was no longer the cute toy. It has transformed into something far more terrifying, with leather sharp teeth and fiery eyes glowing in the darkness. It left its hiding place, moving toward the noise Minion had caused, its eerie grin grinding into the grotesque smile. With every step Hakii Awakes took, the floors trembled and the walls shuddered as if they were on the verge of the collapse. Minion was swinging through the narrow hallways with his homemade web, smashing everything in his path. But when he encountered Hakii Awakes, he realized he had awakened something far more dangerous. The enormous creature charged at him with unexpected speed. A wide trace ensued as Minion tried to avoid the sharp claws and wide, gaping mouth of Hakii. The two raced down long corridors, through rooms filled with broken toys, and past dead conveyor belts. Minion used his web to move faster, but Hakii Awakes wasn't easily fooled. It tore down walls and shelves of toys, determined to catch the tiny intruder. Chapter 4. Confronting Dog Day. As Minion fled deeper into the factory basement, he encounters another foe. Dog Day, a half-dog, half-mechanical creature with spiky fur and mechanical legs, emerged from the shadows. Its glowing red eyes gleamed in the dark, and it let out a menacing glow. Dog Day lunged at Minion, its razor-sharp metal teeth ready to tear him apart. Minion was trapped between two monsters, Hakii Awakes closing in front behind, and Dog Day lunging from the front. He had to think fast, and in that moment, his mechanical arm began to emit strong electrical sparks. Dog Day rocked at full speed, but Minion swung himself up to the ceiling with his web, dodging the attack. Both monsters leaped at him, almost colliding with each other, before redirecting their attention to Minion again. Cornered, Minion realized he couldn't fight off both enemies at once. Chapter 5. The Final Explosion. With no other choice, Minion gathered all the remaining energy in his mechanical arm. His arm began to grow, shaking violently as it prepared for one final attack. A massive explosion erupted from the arm, sending shockwaves through the factory. Hakii Awakes and Dog Day were drawn against the walls, rushing down as the explosion shook the entire building. Dust and debris filled the air, shrouding the room in thick smoke. As the dust settled, Minion stood alone in the rubble. The monster had been defeated, at least for now, but he knew this was only a small battle in a much larger war. Playtime Company still had dark secrets, and he had to complete his mission of wringing Rose's secrets out. Those parts of the documents were lost. Minion believes that Glue could be able to piece together the clues. And when that happened, an even greater battle awaited, not just against the monster of Playtime Company, but against everyone who coveted the terrible power hidden within the factory.